Good day, friends. I'm Dr. S.K. Gupta, and today we are going to analyze, is coronavirus cruel to men and kind to women? Why does coronavirus kill more men than women? The Indian data, as released by Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, published in Times of India on 7th of April 2020. Here you see that the 75% males are affected, while only 24% females are affected. While the sex ratio in India is slightly less than one, that is, there are slightly more males in comparison to females, but here we find that nearly three-fourths males are affected by coronavirus and only one-fourth females are affected. Not only in the infection part, but also in the death part, you find that among the total patients died, 73% are males and 27% are females, meaning thereby that the disease not only affects primarily the males, but also it is much more severe in males, causing more deaths. Other cases also, like this is a report from China, wherein 1100 patients of COVID-19 was screened, and it was found that nearly 50% of them were males. Slide wherein you see that nearly 23%, that is 976 patients, are females, while about 3,100 patients are male patients of the total of 4,076 patients. The analysis of people who died in India and China, and you see that among those who died, 73% were males and 27% were females, and similarly in China, 67% of the total deaths accounted for males and 33% are females, meaning thereby that the disease is much more severe in males. This is the data from Indian patients, and you find that out of 3,091 males affected, about 80 died, while out of 976 females affected, 29 died. This slide shows the number of people affected because of COVID and number of people who died because of COVID. And you find that the males, about 76% males are affected because of COVID, and about 73% males out of total deaths. Similarly, this is the death rate of males as well as the infection rate of males in various countries. And you find that in almost all the countries in Europe, Asia, and the Middle East, the number of males affected by COVID are much more than in females, and also the mortality among the males is higher in comparison to females. This slide shows the corona kill rate of men versus women, and in Ireland you find that the about 2.4 men died for one female, and 1.88 in Switzerland, 1.79 in Spain, in Portugal it is 1.75, in Denmark it is 2.06, and all across the Europe and Asia and South Korea, you find that the number of males dying are nearly 50 to 80% more than females in most of the countries. Let us try to analyze what is the reason for this behavior of coronavirus. Is it the behavioral pattern of men which is not in keeping with the coronavirus, that men have more smoking, which decreases their immunity, they are more alcoholic, and the drug addiction is also more in men. They have a more casual approach. Like it was a poll which was done by Reuters, which found that the men are taking corona threat slightly lightly, and they do not maintain the social distancing so well, and you can find them moving around during the lockdown. And you must have seen various videos where the police has been beating the men coming out of on the roads despite the lockdown. There were hardly any females being shown like that. And secondly, there are more comorbidities in men like diabetes, hypertension, cancer, COPD, etc., because of their behavioral pattern, abuse habits, etc., which might make them much more prone to death by coronavirus in case they develop the infection. The previous slide is not without any evidence. In a China study, it was found that about 52% men smoke and only 3% women smoke. And it is also the similar case in the European countries and the Asia, other countries and the USA. But smoking is it the only factor which is making the men more vulnerable to the corona infection and corona kill? This was not supported by the experimental data when it was found that the mice, and you all know that mice do not smoke. The mice, when they got infected with coronavirus, more male mice got killed because of virus than the female mice. So there must be some other factors which are making males much more vulnerable to infection by corona as well as the mortality in men because of corona. Isn't there something which protects the women from being infected or from being killed by coronavirus? Probably women have much more robust immune system. Women are less susceptible to viruses causing hepatitis C and hepatitis B. Maybe that it is extrapolated in coronavirus also. Among all the human beings living more than 100 years, 80% are women. And it is possible only when they have a robust immune system. In some studies, the X chromosomes have been linked to the production of immunity, and we all know that women genetic makeup is such that they have two X chromosomes while men have only one X chromosome. So it is possible that women are protected by nature. Why the disease is much more affecting the males in Asia, and if it is affecting the males, why is it affecting the males much more severely? It is probably because of the expression of the ACE2 receptors, that is the angiotensin converting enzyme 2 receptors, which have shown the genetic polymorphism. And in a study using the single cell sequencing, it was found that expression of ACE2 receptors was much more predominant in Asian men than women, which might be the possible reason for higher prevalence of COVID 19 in men than women in China and India. Thank you very much for watching our video and taking up this PowerPoint presentations. Please feel free to give your comments and observations. Thank you once again. This is all about data, but what should we do? Men should change their behavior and focus their research mainly on females so as to develop more idea as to what makes female immune system much more robust so as to counter the corona threat. And finally, the men should respect the women and women should remain kind to men. Thank you very much.